everybody. Welcome back to the Moto Moose podcast. It's your host, Bianca, and I'm excited again to reintroduce and explore the video podcast. I hope you guys are enjoying them so far, and I hope you guys are subscribing to the Moto Bunny channel on YouTube. And so I'm excited to bring many and all kinds of guests to you guys. As you know, I advocate for mental health, and it's important for me to be able to open up that conversation. And so I have a lot of guests lined up for you guys that we can speak and explore different mental health issues and circumstances that come from the military. And so I'm glad to have guests that are willing to share and be open about their experiences and how it affected them during their military time and after. And so here we are. I want to introduce Michelle, which is also an Army veteran, right?
Yes.
And so she's here to tell us about her experience. And at least for me, this is the first time I've ever heard of her specific situation. So I think it's really unique and I think it's interesting. And I'm sure many, many other people have gone through the same as she has. But, we don't all walk around sharing, our stories. And so I'm very, very excited and grateful that she's willing to be here and share her story with us. So, Michelle, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
I am Michelle, and yes, I'm an Army vet. I came in the Army in 2013. I did 3 years active duty, and I did 3 years National Guard. So my time was 6 years from 13 to 2019.
Awesome. And what was your MOS?
My MOS Army is 91 Lima, so I was a heavy operator mechanic. So I would tell people I was like I was a higher equipment pet boys because that's my oil
Yeah.
change all day. So I worked more on like dozers, scrapers. I worked on Huskies, which is machines to use to blow up for landmine, detector machines, and regular Humvees and everything else from below too. But majority was more of the heavy equipment you see, like if you're for engineers in the army or engineers outside on civilian side as well.
Okay, that's cool. That's
Yeah,
awesome. And then,
yeah,
so what motivated you to join the military?
What motivated me to join the military was my brother was military. My dad was military. At the time, I was working at the casinos and I worked at another job and I wanted to go back to school. And I remember going to Temple University for a open house and I was like, all right, I love the hospitality field. I tried to go for a supervised position at my job at the Harris Casino. And it was like, we don't see you being a strong superior, like somebody who can manage a good team. Like you can get people to work for you, but we don't see your superiorness enough. And I was like, I get it. I was an energized, bunny, happy go getter.
Yeah.
So I try to like, all right, well, if I go back to school, leave the job, focus on school, and then come back as like with a degree, obviously they gotta take me because obviously I have a degree that will help me open a job and I had experience. My dad told me, I'm not helping you. You got to figure it out on your own. And I get it because he's an older generation. So they didn't need to go to college to make a
Yeah.
living. Unfortunately, at that time, you need an education to make
Yeah.
as they say, you need an education to get anywhere, which we all know
Yeah.
that also is not true anymore. But at that time, it was true. So my brother's actually, I believe he was deployed either at Afghanistan or Iraq at this time. And I got on Skype with him and I was like, Daddy doesn't understand. And he was like, how about this? Do you like your job? And I was like, no, not really. It's just, it gives me what I need. He was like, you want to go to school? And I was like, yeah, hence why I'm mad at daddy. He was
Yeah.
like, do you want to move? And I was like, yeah, like I want to get my own place. Why would I? Like, I don't want to stay at my dad's house forever. He was like, join the military. And I was like, why would I do that? Like, that's why he was like, calling. He's like, free
That wasn't even
education.
an option, right?
Right? It was like join the military. You get free education. You get free health care. You get they pay for your school, and you still get paid. And you move out of your dad's house, and you still get a job that you don't like. And I was like, well, when you put it like that, it makes sense. So I went to go check the recruiters. did my test. Um, funny, usually most people, I don't know how everybody else experience of going into the military. It takes a while before you actually leave. I took my test. I failed it in December. They called me again in January and said, "Hey, take it again." I passed. Literally, I left in 2 weeks. Not even time to like get like leave my job. I had to like, yo, I had to leave today because I worked overnight. So I got to refunction my body. I had to
Yeah.
start really working out. Like I wasn't working out, but like I
Yeah.
was working out. So I literally left in 2 weeks, and they was like, nobody left this as fast as you did. And I was like,
That's
I
crazy.
I always say things happen for a reason, and I left at the right time because I was leaving out of a weird relationship. I wasn't happy anymore, and it was like one of those things. Like I went in at 24, so I was old enough to know what outside life was. So it gave me an inspector. Like, all right, if I can't make it in the army, I can't make it nowhere. Not to say like this is the last straw, but like I'm 24. This is like
Yeah.
the only avenue left besides committing crimes, and I don't look good in orange, so I can't go that route.
You're so funny. Yeah, no, it's true. Like I was one of the older ones. I joined when I was 20, but still, like most
Yeah.
people join like right after high school, right? And I
Yeah.
feel like I had a different perspective too, you know. I mean, it's something I wanted to do like early on, you know.
Mhm.
Um, but my mom didn't want to sign my contract at 17 because I graduated at 17. And
Okay.
so, you know, but even then it was like same thing. I had like a dead end job. I tried going to
Mhm.
school, but I didn't like it's not what I wanted, you know? So it
Yeah.
was like, yeah, no, this is not the life for me.
Right.
But that's crazy though. 2 weeks, that's
Yes, I
crazy.
left in 2 weeks, and I was like, and so I had to like hurry up and run a 2 mile, get my numbers right, and then it was like like I'm not a runner, and I'm still not a runner, but I made it just enough. But
Yeah.
boy, after training and everything, doing basic training, it was like, how? Like
Yeah.
even when I got to my duty station, they was like, "How did you even make it this far?" I was like, "I don't know. By the grace of God, let me be."
It
Okay,
was the will.
it was a will. Listen, trust me. And when it came to PT time, I busted through. When it was
Yeah.
regular time, nah, I was a whole nother person. Don't no, I wasn't a
No, there
military
was no
person.
need for that nonsense, right?
Right? There's no need to show out here. This is not where it's getting counted. Listen, I'll do fine. Be the first person on the line, get it out the way. Don't make fun of me. I'm done.
You're
I'm
so
in and
funny.
out. I'm to the basic numbers I need. I'm scored. I'm out.
Done. Yeah.
Done.
Yeah, no, that's cool. No, I get that. But that is cool. And that's interesting. It's like no time to overthink, to back out. Like
Yeah.
it was like a decision. It was set in stone and that was it. You
Hmm.
just went for it, you know?
Yeah.
And what was your initial experience once you finished school and you were out in the fleet? Like did you initially like it or was it something you kind of had to grow on you?
When I got out, like after I did my boot camp, which I always everybody said it felt like a out of body moment. So it took a while when you got to our what we call AIT to learn my MOS. Like, all right, you gave me a little leeway. I don't have people yelling at you. You're not always have to follow a big group around. You could do certain things on your own. So it was like adjustment, and then my school where I was at was actually my duty station. So it wasn't like I had time to go anywhere else. It wasn't traveling. I literally
Okay.
went from Monday morning, I was here. Monday afternoons, I was at my next duty station. So it was
Okay.
like, once again,
Yeah.
not time to decompress. Like, oh my gosh, I'm a real soldier now. Like, here we are. I get a moment. Got to travel to this new place. No, it was literally like, oh, they came and picked me up. Here you are. And the crazy part is, where my like our PT bubble was for my AIT was
Yeah.
the same PT bubble for my company because it was across the street. That's how small. I was at Fort Lindenwood, lost in the woods, like 94th battalion. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy. So when I got there, like the unit itself was on a mission in Kansas. So half of and I was the only female, so that was an adjustment. So I was the only female, and half of the platoon for my mechanics was out on a mission in Kansas City to help build an airstrip. So I met some people there, and it was already like, "You're the young enlisted. You start doing this. You start doing this." And I'm one of those like, "Don't tell me what to do." Like,
Yeah.
I know you're supposed to tell me what to do, but like you and me are not that far off rank, sir. So like,
Yeah.
what are you telling me for? Like, I'm not a newbie and don't know the military. Like, my brother is a first sergeant in the army. I think I know enough of
Yeah.
how ranks work. And it's weird because I'm one of those outspoken ones, and it's been like that my whole career. So it was like even like my LT, he was cool. He was a butterball, so he was still new, so I understood what he was about. So
Yeah.
like he was cool, and then like getting to know was fine, but also being the only female. Here's the thing: when I got there, they had just found out they're deactivating, so there was no need to give me a toolkit. So I didn't have a toolkit. They put me on paperwork, so everybody was like, "How's she on paperwork? How's she not working on these
Yeah.
things?" When they put me on stuff, I got shocked by changing out a bolt for a battery. I was like, I'm not touching no more batteries. I don't touch brakes. Like I was just I was being demanding. Like I'm not doing none of this. And it was
Yeah.
like, of course, the initiatives like, oh, we're gonna give her the hard work, or we're like, oh, go find the soft spot on a dozer blade. And I was like, it's not my first time, but they did get me one time, and it was funny because it was like, "Oh, we need to get the exhaust for the exhaust take," and I was like, "Okay, how you do that?" So they took me out, they turned the Humvee on, told me to put a bag around it. I was so hyped, came back like, "I got it!" They're like, "You got a full bag of air, just air," and I was like, I looked around, I was like, "I see what y'all did there."
So it's like that.
I said, "I
Yes.
got y'all, I got y'all. It's cool, it's all
Yeah.
right." So I wasn't with my that unit for long. So it
Okay.
sucks because once again, like I was with them in July. We got orders to be deactivated by December. So we already started the process. And then I had got orders for Korea. And my orders to leave in Korea was in mid April.
Okay.
But so that's it was weird, and of course that comes with what happens later on and
Yeah.
cause where I'm at now. But yeah, I they always say your first duty station is the first one you hate, but then you realize that's also where your first family is at, and you are
Yeah.
more adapt to them more than maybe you had multiple duty spots. Like I have two for active duty, and then of course one National Guard. So I have family in every part of the world and they all mean
Yeah.
something, but like the first news station was hard to adapt because they was also deactivated. So it was
Yeah.
they was always sending they would send people was leaving already, and I'm like, sheesh, I just got here. Like what
Yeah.
is going on?
Yeah.
Like this army life is already being different than everybody else's experience.
Yeah. It's always like constantly changing, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's a constant change, but somehow you're able to like manage. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like it's not manageable, but it is somehow because it's so
Yeah.
constantly changing, you know? Like it's
Hmm.
never still.
It's never still. And and I appreciate part of the military because there's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff that we also hate because obviously
Yeah.
we're on here because we have trauma from it. But a
Right.
part of it help us like they literally like even in boot camps, you're a Marine, so yours is probably different from Army. But like there was times where like, all right, they'll tell us an order, we'll get ready for it, and then literally they would squash it and make you
Yeah.
sit and wait, and then also we change to something. So it was like they taught us to learn how to adapt, adjust, and reevaluate it. And I felt like that was part of the mission, no matter what. So
Yeah.
learning that also like I appreciate it, but I hate it. But I
It's
appreciate it.
yeah, it's that hurry up and wait, right? Like
That part,
yeah,
hurry up
like,
and
"Oh,
wait
we
for
got
sure.
get all this shit done, da, da, da," you know, and you're like, "Okay," and it's like, "Yeah, never mind, guys. Good job,
Good
but
job.
it's not
Trust me.
happening. We're
No,
not
but
doing
those were the
it."
best naps ever. Those hurry up and wait,
Yeah.
best naps.
But it's no, but you're right, though, it does teach you, though, to, like, because life is like that, right?
Yeah,
It's
it is.
life is a lot of hurry up and wait, you know? There's, like, urgency for everything, and then if it's not
Or not.
urgent for the other party, you just gotta wait, and
You
that's
just gotta
just
sit and
how
wait.
life is, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, that's true, that's funny. And so what do you, what part or how long were you in, when you felt like you were having difficulties in the military and why?
Whew. So I hit my active duty basically done training and stuff in July of 2013. Um, it didn't really hit me until September of 2013 as well. So my
Okay.
mom
So in that
passed.
same year?
So within the same year. So maybe only 2 months of adjustment. It was more of adjustment because I didn't realize I was battling something from childhood. My mom had passed away when I was young. She was sick, so my adapting to that was she was sick, and of course, obviously, I had to let her go, and that's just how I handled the coping. When people are like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss," and I'm like, "No, she was sick. I had to let
Yeah.
her go. Like it would be selfish for me to keep her." So you know, that was my coping mechanism. I didn't realize my first year being away from her graveyard, being away from my dad, being away from home, that it would hit me. I didn't haven't been I only been home once the whole time out of boot camp. So from February to September, I only went home once on a weekend just to go get my car and come back because I didn't have my car because like I said, I left from AIT that morning, went to my duty station the next that afternoon. So I
Okay.
didn't have time to go home and go get stuff and come back. So, and even then, when I came home, I didn't think about going to see my mom's grave or anything. It was one her anniversary of her death. Her anniversary is the 2 days after 9/11. So you already know the world's already thing. She's 1 year after 9/11. So I can always remember when not how long she been gone because she's 1 year after 9/11. So I went to go. Was like, oh, I'm battling with something, and one of the guys from my platoon was like, go see mental health. It's right next to our PT bubble. Because I was struggling that morning. I just like couldn't like I just was not me, and I was starting to bubbly be that bubbly person, where I used to be. So I went to go talk, and it's weird when you're trying to vent to somebody and it's new to you, especially it's my first time seeing a therapist. The therapist just seems so not engaged. So when she wasn't
Okay.
engaged, I just like, you know what? This is probably why stereotypically black people don't go see a therapist because obviously she doesn't know my culture or how I'm adapting, and then she wasn't engaging or understanding me. So I disengaged and balled it up, and I was like, all right, I'm fine. I'm good. Just a homesick moment, I'll be fine. Started hanging
Yeah.
out with people, and I think that's what it was. I didn't haven't clicked yet with anybody fully yet. So that afternoon, one of my coworkers, he had like a barbecue. Well, one of my coworkers, haha, one of my battles.
Yeah.
Um,
You're fine.
he had a cookout, and I met his wife, and from that point on, me and his wife was like really like I call her like big sister now. Like she balled me in because she used to be a military. She got out because they had kids and he was in, so she let him be the ringer and she stayed home take care of the kids. But and to this day, like they're still my family, like to this day. And so I was like, all right, I had them and that helped me, cope. And then I met a guy who we started talking. Military relationship is like on a fast track. So like
Yeah.
our relationship got stronger to the point where because I got my orders for Korea, it was kind of like, and he had a daughter, so it was kind of like, all right, well, I'm about to leave for Korea soon. He's about to get ready to leave for training, and he wanted to try to help him get full custody. He was like, the only way to do that is if we get married, and when I come back for Korea, I'll go wherever you're at because we're married. So that's how that started. And that's all within 2013. We got married February 2014. And everything seems good. Military was good. I'm in a happy relationship. I'm in a marriage now. Um, then April came, and I went to drop my car off to go to drop off because I'm getting ready for Korea. So I dropped off to home, say bye to everybody back home in New Jersey, and I went back to St. was going to go back to St. Louis. I literally arrived to um to New Jersey, got home, went to sleep. I had a dream, which is crazy because my same dream happened um 2 to 3 days earlier. And before my stepdaughter, actually my stepdaughter arrived that day when I had that dream, and we just had her the 2 weeks before, so it wasn't even our time to have her. But the
How
mother,
old was she?
she was 6 months.
She's a baby.
She was a baby.
Okay.
So like I said, our relationship was fast tracked. So she was already born when we finally like really started our relationship to that level of like
Yeah.
military marriage type stuff. So when it was weird, I said it was weird. I was like, why would she give us the baby this week? It's not our week. And she was like, the mother was like, oh, because you're leaving. And we had just got her to understand our relationship. So she
Yeah.
was like, you do so well for her. I want you to see her before you leave. And I was like, oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I had her and I saw her for a couple of days before I was leaving anyway. And then when we was coming back, I was having a going away party for myself for leaving for Korea. And it was like four other people in my platoon was leaving Korea as well. So, my dream was my mom came in my dream. I remember seeing her in my dream, um, but don't remember anything else. It was kind of like a blur. I remember my husband woke me up and said, "You're crying," and I'm like, I don't like. What do you mean?" He's like, "You're just crying. Like you're literally crying in your sleep." I was like, "That don't make sense." He's like, "If I could have recorded, I would have
Yes.
recorded." And I was like, "All right, whatever." Anyway, let's get our day started. As I got to leave anyway, so I was like, started packing, playing with the baby girl. And then I head out. I get home. Like I said, it's like maybe it has to be like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And I called to make sure everything was good with them. Are you all right? He's like, yeah, I just gave her a bath. She's teething. I was like, all right, make sure you give her a little bit of oral, and then make sure you give her a nice hot bath that will help relax her. I go to sleep and I'm back at my dream. But my dream that I had 2 days ago started with him waking me up, and it's like it's rewinding, and I'm watching from where my mom now is, and she's supposedly in the doorway of my bedroom, and she comes over, grab a bright light happens, and they leave. Like she leaves, and I'm waking, and I'm like in the dream, looking around, looking in the bed, like where's my baby girl? Where's my baby
Yeah.
girl? As soon as I said, "Where's my baby girl?" like the third time, phone rings, waking up. He says, "She's not waking up. She's not breathing." And I was like, "No, no, 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 no." I was like, "I'm dreaming. I must be dreaming." Like I'm like hitting my face, sitting up, and I'm realizing now I'm back in my dad's house. Like
Yeah.
I'm not in the room where I was just had this dream where I'm asking where baby girl's at. And I was like, "Call 911." He's like, "I already did. I'm waiting for them. I did CPR. She's still not waking up." I say, "Let me know what happens when you get to the ER. Like something's happened." I'm sitting there praying. I wake up my dad. Um, a little side story, and this is probably like for me. I asked my dad because I'm a miracle baby. I came after my sister passed away, maybe 5 or 6 years before I was born. So I asked my
Okay.
dad, "How did you and mommy survive with moving on to be able to have me here? Because I'm new in my marriage, and he just possibly lost his daughter with him when
Yeah.
I'm not there." And he said, "Faith, belief, and because there was another child there anyway, it helped kept them stronger." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Dad, I don't have another child." I was like, it was just her. Even though she's not mine, she's still thing. I was like, "Dad, I don't know if my relationship is gonna probably make it past this because that's a tough loss,
Yeah. No,
right?"
it is. Yeah.
And it's not even my own seed. Like I imagine if that was my own seed, I'd probably be even distraught. But like, so I already know where he's at in his head. So I rush. I call the airplane. I get an emergency flight. They get American Red Cross to get me back home. I get home. Obviously, she didn't make it. So we're struggling. We're going through that process, and this is the part where I felt like being a stepmom hurts more, but you cannot show it because you're a stepmom. Like I had to be strong for him. He went to like a kind of like a Buddhist moment. He went silent. He was shut down in his trauma. He didn't talk. If he wanted to talk, he'll send a text message to me to say it to everybody else. Like he wouldn't say nothing at all. Like it took maybe a week before he would say something to me. Like I remember going through the funeral home and he wouldn't say nothing. We had issues with the baby mama there where we almost went to fights because she planned everything because, oh, you're in the military, they'll pay for everything, not knowing that's not how that works.
Yeah.
So we had to fight on who's paid for what. Then she wrote an article saying that she died on his hand. So it made it seem like we hurt her. There was an investigator on us because when a child passed away, you know, all
Yeah.
that
The
played a
social
factor.
work and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a lot of trauma like that hit, and I had to bottle it all in. I could not. I felt like I wasn't obligated to do so because, like I said, she's not my child. So we did a therapist. We had somebody else we talked to. I felt like comfortable with this person. He was like, he didn't speak at all. He didn't say nothing during our couples therapy that was required by the investigators to make sure we was good and good health and stuff. Especially on post, they asked for it too. So he didn't keep it through. Like I still kept seeing him. He still had orders to go to training in Fort Gordon. So he left a month later. I'm still stuck because now my orders got deferred to go to Korea because we did to be able to join what they call dual military. So they able to get my orders now to be attached to his. So they canceled my Korea. I'm still stuck in my unit. Like I said, four of my people from my platoon already had left to Korea. We was all going to be on the same
Yeah.
flight together. So I remember them
And you
hitting
got
me up
left
like,
behind.
why was you on the flight, Floyd? And I was like, well, my name was Griffin at the time. I was like, like they didn't, like they knew because they knew before I left what happened because we sent the text message out. but they already left. And then the rest of the people that didn't get their orders yet to leave, they moved them to another platoon, like a whole nother company, because we didn't have any vehicles, so there's no point in having maintenance there. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had right, like there's no maintenance, there's no vehicles, everything's shipped away. You gotta go to another company. So now I don't know how y'all work, but we have headquarters. So now I'm sitting in with headquarters. These are people for like there was like maybe one or two people that was in my platoon was with headquarters now because they was getting out by chapter and by medical or article. So we just
You
sitting
know,
there.
and I don't mean to interrupt you. I just said like it's crazy how I think as a parent, right? If I were
Yeah,
to lose one of my children, like that's one of my biggest fears, like a
yeah,
nightmare, right? I don't know that I could survive it. And I know I have other kids that need me, right?
yeah,
And I've always thought like I think something like that would turn your life upside down, right? But I'm
100%.
listening to you, and not only does that event well, not only is that like life changing, you know, your daughter's death, right?
Yeah,
And I don't say stepdaughter because she's your daughter, you
yeah,
know.
she's my daughter. Yeah.
I mean, for me, my husband, for my older daughter, he's her stepdad,
Okay.
but he's her dad. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So like for me, it's just like you're a parent, you know what I mean? And I think that label is just overrated, underrated, overrated, whatever you want to think, you know. I think that when you're a parent, you know.
Regardless. Yep.
And but I'm listening to you and like your whole life has been turned upside down. It's like you lose your daughter. Now your job is all turned around too. Your
Yes.
relationship, your marriage is turned around as well. And
Yes.
so it's like that's a lot to have
Adjust
to
to.
manage, you
Yeah.
know, and at such a young age too, you know, you're so young. And
Yeah.
so I feel like so many life-changing things happen to you at one time.
Yes. And it's crazy you said that. Like, so that happened. So with that adjustment, they already, I had, like I said, I kept through with the mental health with them. So they were saying that I was stuck in a grievance stage because, to be honest, they don't think I ever finished grieving my mother. So
Okay.
because of that grieving, grief never has an end time. Like, okay, we're done. You did
Yeah,
6 months
yeah.
of grieving. You're fine. Grieving
Yeah,
comes back in different ways, and
yeah,
because I'm reliving another grief, my old past grief is coming into play. So at that moment, she was just saying, okay, you have adjustment disorder. So you're not adjusting to this grief because you're still adjusting from the last grief. So having that, and then like you said, I had my marriage had to take a change because he's now being pushed to another like going somewhere else. So now we have to depart. My company, my platoon that I was with is now separated. So I'm with a whole nother group that doesn't know my personality that
yeah,
well. So it's like all of this and then not knowing where I'm getting shipped off next because I'm supposed to be on orders for somewhere else. Like I'm not even supposed to be here anymore. I'm
yeah,
still on our emergency deferment. So it's
yeah,
like, what is going on? So I got they said, okay, they put in my papers, like, all right, you have a major disorder, adjustment disorder. So, and it was just that at this moment. It was just a major adjustment disorder. Um, Finally I get my orders. It's going to the same place he's getting after he finished school, which is Fort Bliss, Texas. So I'm like, okay, you know, there was a we got that order. I'm like, all right, I'll leave in July. He's he just left when I got that order that I'm leaving in July for well, I'm to report in July to Fort Bliss. I remember he called me the night before and he was like, I feel like I want to kill myself. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, he hasn't adjusted. He stopped, he didn't do the therapy, he wasn't putting the work in. He just kind of like put it in a bucket, sealed it away, and then he just kept going. I was like, I think you need some help. I need you to talk. He's like, no, I just want you right now. So of course I had the chaplain. They allowed me to get an emergency 4-day pass. So drive all the way to Florida where he's at right now before he goes back to Georgia to go start training. And I'm there for him. He's happy. And he was like, he asked me this question. He was like, why are you not pregnant yet? And I'm like, huh? Like we just lost a daughter in April. It's now
yeah.
May. Like, I don't know, sir. Like you've been gone for a week now. Like we wasn't moving and busting prior. I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
what to tell you. Like I don't know what to say. And he was like, I remember this, but I don't think I put it into context until later on. He was like, well, I don't know. If you can't have a child, what is the point of having us? And I'm like, don't talk like that. Like, we got time. When you come back, we'll figure things out. Right now, it's a lot going on for us. So it's a probably stress. And I just said it like that. So then
Yeah.
he left to go to Georgia to go do start his training, and I came back up to Missouri. And I just remember having a tough time adjusting to the new platoon. Like I said, I was never a runner, so they would run, and I don't know why. It would just make me cry. Like, I would just cry because I'm still grieving. Because now I'm
Yeah.
finally like, I'm lonely. He's not answering my text messages anymore. Because he's going through something. Um, I have drama with the baby mom because we're trying to figure out the great headstones and stuff like that for her. She got mad because she found out I had a tattoo of her. She was like, "You're not the mother," and I'm like, I pretty much was enough to be enough
Yeah.
caring for her that I can do whatever I want and put her on me. Like, at the end of the day, you know. So it was a lot of there, and then like I said, my unit's gone, so like a lot of people's not there that was there, and I'm like, so it was struggle. So I finally we got to leave. I finally got to leave. I was like, yes, new start, new beginning.
Yeah.
Hopefully this helps out a lot, right? So I'm driving to Texas, get to my unit, seems great. This is where things start to get more worse because by the time I got to my new duty station, I get the phone call, which is weird because he didn't call me. My husband didn't call me at the time. It was his mother who called me and said that his stepfather, for him, but his father couldn't take care of him as well, had just passed away. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like,
Ah, yeah.
just lost somebody. Prior to, my uncle passed away, so that was like tough for me because I'm taking a loss, and I told him, and I knew he was out. He was starting to shut down because he didn't even really like whatever, like
Care. Yeah, he
care.
wasn't
And I'm like,
empathetic.
okay, yeah. So I'm like, I called him. He didn't want to answer, so I'm sending a text. I was like, hey, are you okay? Like, do you need me? Like, he was like, no, don't come. And I was like, what do you mean don't come? Like, I don't understand. Like, your dad just passed. Like, I would be in up in high hands if my dad passed. Like, I would want you to be there with me, right?
Yeah.
And so I tried to call his mom. I was like, hey, he said he don't want me here, and it sucks. I don't know my unit yet. Like, I literally
Yeah.
just arrived, so I don't even know who to tell this report, who to give this information to.
Girl, you don't catch a break. You go from one place till something happened to another place and something happened.
I swear, 2014 was my storm. Maybe a little bit. It started a little bit 2013, like a little rainstorm here and there, but
Mhm.
2014 was definitely my rainstorm.
Okay.
So, and I don't think I even got out of the rainstorm for a little while too. It maybe started clearing up as down the line. So it sucks. He didn't want me there. We couldn't even get the Red Cross because I didn't have a unit or anybody yet. So it was like I had to suck it up. So after that, I'm trying to communicate with him. He blocked me off of all social medias. He stopped taking my calls. He stopped taking my text messages. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, all I can do, my only communication I had was talking to his mom. So I talk to his mom every day. I'm crying to her. I'm telling her, like, why is he doing this? Like, why am I getting this from him? Like, he's supposed to be, I'm definitely now in another spot where I don't know anybody now. So
Yeah.
now I'm
Yeah.
a lonely person and my own thoughts, dealing with something being, already told I'm being a major adjustment disorder, and now I'm had to adjust again somewhere else. You
Yes.
know, so I'm like, I don't know what to do. So finally, I met somebody, like friend wise, and so July, I hung out with them and got to my platoon. So I was like, all right, I'm adapting, hanging out. They seem cool. I'm like, all
Moving
right, my
on.
unit's cool. I was like, all
Yeah. Yeah.
right, new vibes. They always do that. I feel like when you go to a new duty station or a new unit, you like come with new vibes. Like, you can feel
Yeah.
some energy. So it's like, all right, it's not tainted yet. I can pick up the good vibes,
Yeah.
right?
New scene. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, new scene, new me. It's like a New Year resolution every time you go to a new duty station.
Yeah, for sure.
So, so we get there. All right, my birthday's in August. Mind you, I think I talked to them a
Sorry.
week before because they had messed up on my money coming switching over. They knew I was a dual military and I'm supposed to get BAH, but they kind of put me because he wasn't with me. They gave me like, oh well, you're going to go to Barracks. I was like, no, not going to Barracks. Like, he'll be here soon, within 2 months, so I qualify for BAH. So they gave me my money, whatever and stuff, but of course the struggle. So I called him, I was like, hey, I need help. I need help with money. He was like, why? I was like, because you're my husband and you're getting your BAH. Like, all I ask is just help with a little bit of money. He was like, well, figure it out. I'm not helping out. And I was like, okay, I can see where this is going. I don't know what you're doing, but we need counseling. Like, you got something going on. Like, I don't want to talk about nothing about our marriage or anything else. Or because he was asking and stuff like that. And I was like, no, you going through something. You need to see somebody. He's like, I'm not about to have see somebody and they tell me I'm crazy. Why would they tell you you're crazy? That's not the point. You need to have
Yeah.
somebody vent to with an open mind and who's not biased to the situation and talk. Because I, of course, I haven't found one when I got here, but it helped me prior to I left.
Yeah.
So he was like, no. I was like, all right, fine, whatever. My birthday comes around. I love my birthday. My mom made my birthday special, so I love my birthday. He he sent me a text message on my birthday. And I remember because I was about to go to the gym, work out because I had a PT test to do. And I was like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get ready. I'm about to. They had an indoor track upstairs, so I got upstairs and I looked at my phone. That's probably the worst thing to do is like look at your phone when you're about to get your mindset something.
Yeah.
Always when you look at something, he looked and he's like, "I wish you happy birthday if you agree to divorce." I looked at that, walked all the way downstairs, sat in my car and cried for maybe an hour. Sent him a text message and tell him to fuck his happy birthday. You got what you want, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, you got what you want. I looked up, like I talked to one of my battles, and I was like, how does divorce work here in Texas? Because now I'm in Texas, so I looked it up. You got to wait 6 months to because, and then because he's an outside party, I got to wait until he moves back. I got to be somebody got to be here for 6 months, so I have to be the one to initiate the divorce. I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm not about to be keep being mistreated. Like, at this point, he took I was able to somehow find his page, right? And he took me down. There was no sign of me. It was only him and baby girl and him posting about all types of relationship, all type of sexual moves, all the type of stuff. And I'm like, we're married. Why are you
Yeah.
doing stuff like this? Like, this
Yeah.
is a sign of disrespecting our marriage. And I'm like, I'm good. Or he'll tell me things like, oh, you're not good for nothing. You couldn't even get pregnant. You don't even do this right. You don't do this right. Like, you don't cook good enough. You're not like my mom who cleans like this. You don't know how to be a household wife. And I was like, I was looking at him. I was like, yo, we only live in our marriage for 2 months. And half of that, you was already away in training.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about, sir? Like,
He's just
like,
and
what do you mean? And we went through something major, and you talking about I don't know how to be a good wife.
yeah. Hurt people hurt
Hurt
people.
people, exactly.
Yeah. He was just trying to lash out at you because he was so,
So bad. So finally got to the divorce, and as I'm getting, I picked my paperwork for divorce. I found out I was pregnant because obviously I got my groove back. Because obviously, whatever he said is not true because I'm back in it. So I'm like, so it's like I got my groove back. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
no, no, there's no way. Whatever he's saying, because I was taking it for heart. Like, I had cut my hair at the time because I was going through something. I gained weight. I didn't know I was gaining weight because I had took birth control the year before was making me gain weight. So I'm like, why am I so heavy? Is it because of stress? Because of the grieving period? So I'm like, I felt like I looked ugly. So of course started working back heavily. I got into what the herbal life and stuff like that. So found a situation. That's what I thought it was supposed to be for.
Yeah.
Um, Found out I was pregnant. Of course, it was this situation. So I was like, all right. So in the military, I don't know how it was on you. I don't know if you was you ever pregnant in the military?
No, not in the military.
Okay. So in the military, for Army side, you stop doing PT with your platoon. You go to pregnancy PT. So you
Okay.
have what they call pre pregnancy PT and you have post pregnancy PT. So you stay with them for when you until you have birth, and then you're with them 6 months after you have
Okay.
birth. So in army time on every Thursday is uh what's it called? I feel like I'm having a blank. I know it's something. It's called something like that.
It's
It's
okay.
called sergeant time or something like that. So every
Okay.
Thursday you do something. You either train, you do a sergeant has to run a class, you do different things. I remember we rocked a couple times. We had like we had classes on how to do PowerPoints. Like, they would just make up stuff to do on Thursday, and
Yes. Keep you
that
busy.
was the morning. You don't, so you knew you didn't have PT unless the commander or something made like a fun activity for PT, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you do that, and then you leave out at 2 o'clock. So that was your end of the day. So Thursday was like early day, but you got to go through all the stupid stuff. But in pregnancy PT, we had something. So instead of doing PT, we would do like they would give us, all right, we'll do classes. We'll go to a church and they'll teach us like, oh, what to do if you need. Like they'll show us how to get wig. They would show stuff about pregnancy stuff, things that you may do. So I remember this day, this lady had came in and she was talking about postpartum and how sometimes you could develop it while you're pregnant. And so I remember having her class and they talked and I asked to speak with her offline. And I said, hey, can I set up a session with you for behavioral health? I've been having nightmares to the point where I'm not sleeping. Like to the point where I think I probably went 2 days without sleeping to the point where I make myself exhausted where I just go sleep because I want to go past my nightmares. And
Yeah.
she was like, what kind of nightmares are you having? And I told her about my situation about losing baby girl and that keep replaying. But instead, it's my baby girl, my mom taking whatever this is. Because obviously I don't know what it is. I'm still early. And she was like, you're having what's called nightmare dysphoria, which
Okay.
means your dreams are being distorted by because you're going through something. You're going through stress or you're going through whatever you can't handle, it comes in your dream. So I was like, okay. And I told her I was going to divorce, whatever. And I was like, kind of homicidal. Like my dreams are so vague that, yeah, like if anybody put it up on TV, they will think it's a crime mom, right? So I set up a session with her. We talked, and she definitely diagnosed me with, which I didn't know you can have, like I said, postpartum. I got diagnosed
Yeah,
with
I
that.
didn't know that either.
I
You
didn't
know,
know that
but
either.
that makes sense though. Like I'm thinking in retrospect for me, like with my oldest daughter, I had really bad postpartum,
Okay.
but I feel like right now that you were saying that, I was like, that makes sense. Because I mean, I was in a very abusive marriage at
Okay.
that point. I wasn't in anymore, but he was.
Yeah.
And so I was definitely depressed because of the violence, right? But then
Yeah.
I was pregnant, and so I feel like I was already, yeah, like that makes sense, you
Yeah.
know?
And that's exactly what it was because I was already, because she diagnosed me with that, but because I already had a diagnosis of major adjustment disorder,
Yeah,
which in hindsight, because I still have the rating for it, is actual PTSD. I'm carrying
yeah,
PTSD from these two traumas. So because I'm already depressed, postpartum is early because it's attachment of depression. So I had the depression, I had the anxiety, and now I have nightmare dysphoria. So I started to having sessions with
mhm,
her. And it was like, I think a month with her. And she was like, I want to put you on medicine. And I'm like, I don't want to go on medicine. Like, she's like, there's different classes of medicine that can go with your baby. I was like, I don't want to take anything that can
yeah.
cause harm to this baby.
Mhm.
So as I'm going through session with her, the situation, like, it was, I appreciate him at one point because he wanted to stay with me and I'm like, you can't, like, I'm still going through my divorce. You're going through your divorce. We wasn't even supposed to be in a situation because technically
Yeah.
we can all get kicked out. But I'm not snitching and you're not snitching on me, so we're not getting kicked out. I'm also like, you already was saying your struggles here as being here. You've been here for 6 years. You haven't grown. They haven't tried to take you to the board. They haven't done anything. You're not progressing. I realized when I left my last duty station because this was your first duty station. I left my
Yeah,
last duty station and I already got promoted. I already got a charge of a team. So like things happen when you move over they can see your value because you got enough information or knowledge from here that you can bring to the thing. I was like, plus we're
yeah,
not in a situation. Like I was coming up on my year where I was able to reclass. Because my plan was to stay in.
yeah.
Army. I was full 20
Yeah.
years. That's what I saw. And I was like, I'll be able to change my MOS. All right, there's engineers there. I will
Yeah,
be able to come to you by that time. Your situation is clear, my situation is clear. We can, if it works and we stay strong,
yeah,
it makes sense. I'm not going to do another military marriage unless it's something for real here.
yeah,
Regardless of this child being here, you're not about to marry me just for this situation. That's for no.
yeah.
I feel like guys heard one thing and heard another thing because he definitely was like, "I'm done with you." He left me. He went to go do his
Yeah.
own situation. I went,
Selective hearing.
yeah, and it was weird because I remember like I was never the type of person that rolled up on somebody and was like, what you doing here? Da da da. Like if that was
Mhm.
what you want, that fine. I won't roll up on you. I rolled up
Yeah.
on him because he wasn't answering my text message after sending me a text message like we broke up. Knocked on the door. He had a whole nother girl there. I was like, damn, you work fast. Like I remember this like
That's
it was
quick.
yesterday. And I was like, oh no, I just came to get my stuff since you broke up with me. I need I need my stuff from your
Yeah.
apartment. As he went to go get it, I sat down next to the girl. I was like, hey, just to let you know, like if you plan on this, he got three other kids. I happen to be the fourth one now. Wasn't a plan, so you're gonna be a good stepmom. I just need to know if you're gonna be a stepmom. Just let me know so I know who you are and everything. I was like, oh, did he tell you he's leaving? And he was like, because he's leaving to Georgia next month. Did he tell you
Yeah.
that, or are you just here for a booty call? And I was like, oh, you're watching a movie. I've been asking you to watch a movie all month long before you broke up with me. That's crazy. And he was like, what are you doing? I was like, I don't know. What are you talking about? I don't do nothing. I was like, it's okay. Blame it on the baby. It's the baby, right? Because that
Yeah.
was the reason why you broke up
It's the
with me.
hormones.
Right? My hormones, like my hormones is too much for you, right? That's what you said. And it's weird. I get this a lot, and I got it from his friends. I'm from up north. I'm from North Jersey. We have a different way of how we handle it. I'm sorry. I'm not from North Jersey. I'm from New Jersey, up north. So I'm
Yeah.
from South Jersey. We have a different. They always say we're like a little thuggish way.
Yeah.
He's from down south, so I'm not a south type of girl. So I
Yeah.
speak, I talk, I'm aggressive. That's my love language.
It's okay.
That was one of his reasons why he was like, "You're just too strong." He's like, "You look like you can box." He's like, "You just be talking out your out your neck," and I was like, "And
And
you can't
and the
handle that."
problem
Mind
here
you, I'm a
is,
military and I am a mechanic, so I'm already deep
yeah,
in this. And I'm like, "And you're infantry, and you can't handle me? You sure you're
like, I'm
infantry,
just a
sir?"
little rough around the edges.
Yeah, exactly. The military just made it a little bit stronger where I'm like
Yeah,
more vocal because I wasn't this vocal, but like now I'm like, I don't give two
it
rats.
enhanced you.
Right? It empowered me. It opened up some stuff. So I was like, all right, whatever. So he left
Yeah.
and now I'm fully alone. So like the person that I'm supposed to have the child with that wasn't really supposed to be here, but like he was there for a moment and he was happy. And then as soon as I said that's not the plan I want, it was like he shut me off. He stopped talking to me. He stopped asking about the baby. He stopped everything. So him now, my now ex-husband was always in my dream because I never spoke out about like how they really made me feel to them.
Mhm.
At the same time, they never gave me a chance to speak out because either I'm too soft or I'm being too thug, like I'm
Yeah.
being too strong. So like my energy now is like I'm having these nightmares, I'm having pains, like I decided not to do the medicine. So I'm struggling mentally by myself a lot. And if it wasn't for my therapist, I don't know how I would have made it because I finally had my baby and it sucks having it away in the military. I'm not with family. I'm not with like my home. Like I had military for and that counts. And some people did travel to see me. My dad did come see me after my pregnancy because I ended up having her early because I got in a car accident. So that was another scary thing. I'm like, one thing or another, I kept
Oh,
having dreams that somebody was trying to take her away, and then I get an accident like 3 weeks before she was due. So I'm like, what else can this world give me
yes.
to scare me to crap? So finally, I'm like, all right, we're good. I get back, I have her. I'm adapting as a single parent in the military, which is harder, I
Yeah.
believe, than anything
No,
else because
absolutely.
now, like, I got to go back to work at that time we only had 6 weeks, so like I had a C-section, so it was like 6 weeks with a C-section trying to get my body to work and function normal. I have a baby, I'm trying to adapt back into me going to work and not just me waking up daily with her. So we
Yeah.
work, I
And
gotta take her to
basically on your
daycare.
own, right? Because I mean, your
Oh my
family
own.
scar. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, get her ready, take her to the daycare, well, to my babysitter time by 5:30, be a PT by 6 o'clock. I don't get home until 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And like where my post and where the babysitter at and my house was like another 30-minute ride. By the time I
Yeah.
got home, I got her fed, got me fed, or I ate grabbed something on the way, take a shower, we're back to bed. I think the first 6 months of my child's life, I don't think I spend that much time with her unless it was on the weekend. And even
Yeah.
still, I got put on like 24-hour duty to
I was gonna
watch
say duty, training.
training and duty, and I wasn't part of full training. Well, they didn't. Yeah, I wasn't part of full training yet because I was still postpartum now. So I'm on the
Oh, right.
postpartum side. So I'm not allowed it. And we didn't they really do much until haha,
Yeah.
here we go. So I wasn't part of duty or their training that they did. They didn't really do much at first when I came back from having her. So I'm like, all right. Around November, they told us we're leaving to go to what is JRTC. Um those letters may not be correct, but it was a spot in Louisiana where they
Okay.
train and push you through lanes like if you was deployed. So the
Okay.
whole brigade has to go to get graded because that's how you get to be put on a list to be deployed. So that means all available bodies had to go. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to go because I'm still on my postpartum, my training thing. The date that they're leaving, my shit ends. So I'm like, oh, I'm good. They're not gonna take me.
Nope, you just made the cut, girl.
Right. So in December, right before Christmas break, everybody's getting their stuff ready for Christmas break. I was leaving out for Christmas break. Um, at this time, I because I was still struggling with my nightmares because my child's father hasn't shown to see her yet. Um, it's hard, obviously, to have a baby. My ex-husband said he wanted to come back at first. He came to see her, appreciate her, and then turn around and stop talking to us. So I had a little bit of hope that he was there for me because he said I was there for him at the same exact thing. Even though it sucks. I'm like, well, you broke up with me in a way. Like this will happen.
Yeah.
And so I thought he was going to be there for me like I was for him. He loved her, and then as soon I he was then it just switched like a freaking thing, and I was like, what the fuck? Like you gave me hope. Like
Yeah.
you moved back in for like a couple like 2 weeks. You stayed with me for 2 weeks. You talk about getting my ring back, like or give me a new ring, and I'm like, he's like, I made a mistake, and I was like, yeah, of course you made a mistake. Duh.
Yeah.
Look at me,
Look at me. Oh, you took the words out of
right?
my
And so like you was there at the hospital. He was only there. It's funny because he was only there for the hospital because our divorce ended in Texas. If it's in 6 months, I had a baby, and I know it wasn't the person I gave divorce. They had to sign the rights away because I could have possibly had sent child support
Oh,
on him. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I already know it's not your father. And first,
yeah.
like, I'm not that type of person. So of course he signed. So he was there. He hold her. He was like, "Oh, she's beautiful" and stuff like that. And he was there for a little bit, and then, like I said, he shut out. So that hurt so bad, like so bad, because I'm like, her own father hasn't arrived yet, or haven't said anything to me yet. Like I'm the
Mhm.
one who's saying, "Hey, she was just born." He's like, "Oh, okay." Even though, yes, and this is the part that pissed me off because he actually got kicked out of the military. So like, you low key could have had came. Like you couldn't
Yeah.
have came when she was born because you haven't finalized your divorce yet, which I still didn't figure out why. So that means now technically you're not allowed to come see a child that's not legally yours at this moment in the
Yeah.
military. So I'm like, great, because it'd be stupid. Your military people think your family's here with you because that's how you live in off base. To go say, oh, I need to go back to Texas because I just had another baby. They're
Yeah.
not going to sign off to that. They're like, hold on, we
Yeah.
need to question this. What's going on? Like you got infidelity, that's automatically kicked out of the military, or
Yes.
a definitely article, and we wasn't trying to play that game. So that hurts. I'm like, it's like nice. So by the time like from he got released in September, so I'm like, all right, you still haven't found your way to come see this child. So I'm like, all right, great. So I'm dealing with that. So of course I got put on medicine and I got put on sleep medicine because my dreams were so big,
And
like
yeah.
so big. Like I would tell her, like I felt like I had blood all over me when I wake up because it was so big, right?
Vivid dreams. Yeah.
So vivid. It was so scary. So they gave me my family care plan. And I'm like, okay, I'm a single parent. I have to have a family care plan, just in case we get deployed anywhere or anything. You have to have somebody who's going to take care of your kid for 30 days or for a year. So that was the process.
Okay.
So they did a counseling. They did it for they did it for a good amount of people that was in there as single parents. Not all right. They did it for everybody. That's cool. But I thought I was still clear because they was leaving before, like maybe a week before my actual profile is done. Man, they hit me with you. This is considered trading. Your your profile is only for deployment. This is not considered deployment. You are leaving, and because of my MOS, I was the only high ranking like Joe, you want to say,
Yeah.
that had to go because there was like two people that just came to my platoon that just came out of AIT. They don't know nothing. They don't know
Oh,
the
they
status,
don't.
and I'm
Yeah.
like,
They're not
I've been out for
prepared.
like almost 9 months. I don't know this
Yeah.
equipment either. Like, what are you talking about?
You're,
I forgot. I forgot how to work
we're
on this
both
stuff.
unprepared.
I'm unprepared. I don't know what I'm talking about. And I was like, no. Like he did my counseling, but I don't have everything set up. You can't take
Yeah.
me. They was like, so they showed me the course is always in the rules. As long as
Yeah.
you had your counseling, you are now still obligated to go, regardless if you finish your task or not. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? I was like, all right. And so they was like, well, you're leaving. So now I'm like, all right. I had a plan of possibly sending my child somewhere. So I had that like if that was to be, and then somebody's gonna pick her up later on like if that plan didn't work out. So I'm like, all right, I go for Christmas. I'm like, all right, I already know I'm leaving for training. And lucky for me, the training we was at was where my brother was at the moment now. So I'm like,
Okay.
all right, I was like, I hit my brother. I was like, hey, I'm gonna put my units coming. Hopefully we can see each other and stuff like that. And I was like, just don't go hard on me. And he was like, I'll see if I'll be running that lane or not. He said we shot. He's an infantry. He said we stay more with the infantry. You're just engineers, so that your stuff is different. And I was like,
Okay.
oh, all right, good. All right, I got a little view of what's gonna happen, right? So I come home, like I said, I'm on the medicine. I've been on the medicine, not even a full month yet. I'm on sleep medicine and I'm on antidepressant. I think I was on either Bufirin or Wellbutrin or something, some type of medicine. So I go home for Christmas. I had a guy I was talking to out there, and he just seemed shifty. And I was like, I'm one of those like I've been dealing with a lot of situations, like either come correct or don't come at all. So it didn't work out. So like it was, I could tell things were upset from there. I come home for Christmas. My flight is already messed up. There's a winter storm come like in Texas. And I'm like, oh, winter storm in Texas? That don't even
Yes.
sound right. Right? So that flight got delayed in Dallas that I was supposed to do my connected. So I'm in Philly. My flight is delayed. They found me and go to Phoenix. I'm like, all right. So I flew to Phoenix. 2 hour delay with that because the people that was coming from out of Dallas was stuck. So they had to find another crew to fly to Phoenix to come bring me to El Paso. I'm like, oh my gosh. Finally get to El Paso, my bags are not there. And I was like, this can't be no better. Like, what the flip? And I kind of went home, like Christmas somehow fell in a way where we was off. So I was able to leave the day before, have the weekend, and then the day after was back. So it was like a weird way where I didn't really technically use any of my leave, right?
Okay.
So I was like, all right, cool. We had a 4 day anyway, and they let me dip because everybody else is on full leave was gone. So I was on the
Okay.
back burner. So I was like, all right. My sergeant at the time, he's like, just go ahead and leave earlier. I was like, all right, sweet. So I
Yeah.
did and came
Yeah.
back. So I texted him. I was like, "Hey, I just flew in. My flight was supposed to come in at 3 this afternoon. I'm coming in at 3 a.m. because the flight was late." He was like, "All right, don't come in tomorrow. Your luggage is stuck. We're not doing that anyway. I'm sending everybody early anyway." I was like, "Sweet, all right, cool." I get my bags later on the day, and my medicine's not in there because I didn't know. Like I thought, it's my first time flying with medicine. I'm not about to pack it in my carrier and get potentially getting pulled and they
Yeah.
take it. I was like, I'm gonna just put it underneath my carriage. I already took it one in the morning. I'll be back to grab it for the next morning. Somebody stole my medicine. Like, thank you, Philadelphia Airport. You stole my medicine that I needed as going through somebody who's dealing with depression and everything
That's
else.
shitty.
It's shitty. And it's shitty because everybody's going off post. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't request for another medicine because I'm not fully done my 30 days. They're not gonna refill that
Yeah.
type of prescription. So I'm like, I couldn't ask for another one. My therapist was gone for holiday. She had went back to Puerto Rico, so she wasn't there. So I'm like, great. I'm now almost a week before I have my next appointment where she's back without taking medicine. That is a major withdrawal. There's a winter
Yeah.
storm in Texas. It's been raining the whole time. I'm going through these emotions. Mind you, like postpartum is still there for me.
Yeah.
Depression is still there for me. The nightmares are still there for me. And they get told I was supposed to leave like 3 days later. I got told I'm leaving tomorrow for my unit. And I was like, no, my babysitter for my child is coming in 3 days. Like
Yeah.
I have to be here to hand off. And it was like, no, you leave tomorrow. You're gonna go with like you leaving early because you need to help take the equipment off the train. And I was like, the fuck? What do you mean? Like that's not like I this is part I hated. It's like that was not what was planned to me. That wasn't what was happening. You told me this is when I'm leaving. I scheduled for the babysitter that you asked me that I needed for the next 30 days while we're gone to tell me I'm leaving 3 days early. I was like, this doesn't help me out. And the person I was going to leave my child that's on base that's using her babysitter, her husband is in the field. He's in infantry for 30 days. So he already been out already. She has a 1 year old son. So he's whining. And my child decided she want to go through a growth spurt. So she's just crying, pain. She's not an easy baby right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't do that to my babysitter. Like she was younger than me. So like she's by herself, you know?
Yeah.
So like that was a lot of stress. And then what hit me, I felt like I was back in the situation where I'm at baby girl and I'm about to leave for Korea. And you're telling
Yeah.
me I have to go. And I'm like, and she's about to be 6 months. And everything, PTSD, adjustment disorder, all kicked back in. And I went home and I was like, I see my therapist tomorrow. I'll talk to her. Maybe she could do something. And I just thought to myself, like, no, I'm a number. I'm literally a number because they would not be forcing me to go tomorrow. They'd be forcing me to go 3 days later or go when the next crew go. Why are they
Yeah.
forcing me to go? I was like, because I'm a fucking number. And I was like, well, if I'm just a fucking number, sorry for my French, then it's it's not great. And it's like if something happens to me because I'm not stable when I'm go out there, no offense, I don't like I didn't want my
What
child
about
with
your
nobody else.
baby? Yeah,
I
I
didn't
know.
so I didn't want my child with nobody else that I felt like couldn't handle her at the time. I couldn't even handle my own self. I just felt like it was a perfect time. And I thought about it. So I had issues with my back from because I got in an car accident. I had epidural and then I had a C-section. So my back was always going to spasm. I had Valium, I had all these other medicine, and I was like, fuck it. I'm going peaceful. I'm gonna take these medicine. I'm gonna go to sleep. I looked at my child and I was like, well, I don't want anybody to have her. I don't want her to be in the system and I don't want her to be without it. And I was like,
Yeah.
so I thought about it with her too, like, a pillow and something or some type of thing to make it easy for her. And I sat at my bathroom looking at the medicine cabinet. I took all the medicine down. I started to open and I just looked for a second and I swear she gave me the weirdest cry. As a mother, you know your children's cry. You know a hunger cry, you know a diaper cry,
Yeah.
like, hey, I want to be picked up cry. It was like somebody was killing her type cry. And I just stopped and went into Mama Bear, grabbed her, and this child just smiled at me. Like she smiled at me. And I said, I'm sorry that I even thought about taking you out. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Marilyn. Like I apologize. And I just sat there and I just hugged her. I didn't even sleep that night. I just hugged her. I played Lullaby. She played with me all day. I took her to the babysitter and went right to work the next day. Tired. I'm so tired. And I'm like, all right. I can't let nobody know what I just thought about doing. I remember we had a P test, and all I remember was joking with everybody. I was like, you know how when you do the P test, you see everybody carrying their stuff, like, oh, you need more water. Like, you're a girl. Like, my captain had to do it too. It was a 100% because we are all leaving. So everybody had to do a P test. So I'm joking with my captain. I was like, Captain, you had too much fun on the weekend.
Yeah.
You need more water. And he laughed with me. And then I was like, all right, I got an appointment. And I was like, deuce, guys. And I went to my
Yeah.
appointment. I went to go talk to her. I told her everything that happened. And she was like, do you think if I write a letter, like, will it happen? I was like, a letter's not going to happen. Like, I already know that.
Yeah.
They need these numbers to be correct. It's not my
Yeah, they
first time.
don't
No,
care. It
no.
doesn't matter.
Like,
It
their goal was
really
trying to
doesn't.
deploy. So they need everybody to go to
Yeah.
fill those numbers so we can pass this test so they can be on the list for deployment.
Yeah.
Because their goal was by the end of the year to deploy if we
Yeah.
pass. So I was like, and she looked at me and she like, you're right. She like, one moment. She came back and I swear, I never saw like I had worked at Harris Casino, so I met. I don't know if you know Dr. J. He was a basketball player for the 76ers. He was a tall man,
Yeah.
right? I think I met the tallest man again. This guy, he was full bird cornel, like a full bird was on his chest. Walked into my session and he was like, she told me what happened. She told me what's going on with your unit. I'm sorry, but it's nothing on you. Don't think that this is going to be a deflector on your record, but I'm admitting you to the psych ward. This is the only way to get you out. Just give you back on your medicine and they can moderate because you've been without your medicine for too long for just getting on it. For your type of condition, you need to be back on it. You thought about suicide and homicide at the same time. That is a dangerous pill to be left by yourself. You need to be a monitor. You're going today. And I was just like, and I was sitting there and I didn't think about it because I was like, yo, I did thought about killing myself. I
Yeah.
really thought about
Yeah.
homicide at the same time. Like it was gonna be a suicide homicide. And I didn't think about it as that anymore when I
At
was
that,
talking to her
yeah.
because I was over it.
No,
But
I think that that point that you're making right now is so important. Like postpartum is so, I mean, and I think your situation is unique because it's like a spiral, right? Like you
Yeah.
went from one thing
To
to the
another.
other,
I
and
was
you
in a
just met
tumbleweed.
your
It just kept
limit,
going.
you know?
Yeah.
You met your limit. But honestly, I know because I know when I had postpartum, I just didn't give a fuck. You know, I was
Yeah.
like, my daughter was the most colicky
Ooh, that is
and
stressful.
she cried and girl, like I was just like, I didn't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was a part of me that was like, fuck, I need to do something. She needs me. But the other part was that much stronger. Like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
I don't care about myself. I
Yeah.
don't have the energy to care for her. I know she's starving. I know she's hurting, but
Yeah.
and like I think about like after I got better and I would think about those moments and it's like it breaks my heart and my conscience still like I'm like fuck what was wrong but
Yeah.
postpartum is real. I don't think
Postpartum
people
is
really
real.
realize how bad it can get
Oh, yes.
and
And
how easily you can cross that line, you
yeah.
know?
And I think it's weird because postpartum in itself is already bad. But when you already diagnosed with other stuff,
Yeah.
postpartum is like 10 times hyper of that
Yeah.
situation. And it can just feed into everything else you have.
Yeah.
So it's like the willpower is so weak. You're so weak. And it's like I kind of feel like when postpartum is, and then not to trying to like compare it, but it was like because I lived it, I understand. It feels like telling a crackhead he can't have crack, and you telling yourself like you can't have this last cookie, or you can't like no, you're not allowed to get up. Do not get up. That's
Yeah.
what postpartum is telling you not to do this, not to do that, and you're like I'm fighting it, and you can't. Postpartum
You
wins.
can't. No, yeah, it's true. And I think too, like for me, I was already, I mean, I was already depressed and I'm
Yeah,
sure I had PTSD. I had already experienced my MST, so I was struggling with that. Then my domestic violence. And so I was already all jacked up, and then you just added the postpartum on top of that. And it's just like it just puts you
the
over
edge.
the
Yeah,
edge. So I hear you saying those things and I'm just like, I can so relate to that. Like I understand having those thoughts and those feelings.
yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, so they decided to put you on the 72-hour hold.
Yep, they put me in a 72-hour hold, which, to be honest, sometimes I wish I could have another 72 hours
Yeah.
as like a mom. Like after I got my medicine, I got back on the medicine. It takes a
Yeah.
while to really kick in. And
Yeah.
at one point, I was like, I don't want sleep medicine because I knew I needed to hear like. Hold on, my nose. Sorry.
It's okay.
Woo. So I wasn't taking sleep medicine. I started the sleep medicine. I didn't like it because I couldn't hear her at night. Like I was like, I
Okay.
can't hear her.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can't take it. So they gave it to me during the 72 hold. And I just remember like my first night getting the medicine back in and waking up and I just felt like I was like a cloud. Like feelings, there was no feelings, there was no emotions, there wasn't no like thoughts running through my head. It was just like it was like you're old enough. You ever watch Crooklyn?
Which?
Crooklyn?
No.
Okay. So there's a movie called Crooklyn and it's about a family in Brooklyn, right? And these kids used to get high by spraying stuff in a bag and they would breathe
Oh,
and they would
and that's it.
they
Yeah.
would show yeah, they would show videos of like in the movie they would like floating in the air, like all giggly and stuff.
Yeah.
That's how I felt like being on the medicine and just being in the scrubs. I had blankets. I felt like I was like this alone to myself. And I felt happy for like a moment. And at the same time I was like
You had peace.
I had peace and I felt like I didn't have to worry about waking up a baby. I didn't feel like I didn't have to worry about getting a bottle ready. I didn't feel like I had to get the clean. I didn't feel like I had to go to work and get my unit together, get myself order, like get my company together,
Yeah, no more
like go out as a
pressure,
chart.
right?
It was no pressure. It was like, oh,
Decompress.
it was like a decompress. Yes. Like it was like almost those like little spa things, except I
Yeah.
wasn't in a spa. I wasn't allowed to leave. There was like guards around. So it was a little different. I got ice cream. It felt, you know what? It felt like Good Burger. when they was in the psych ward for that moment. You know how they show
Yeah.
the she? So like
Yeah.
I would color and I was just singing. I felt like
Yeah.
Ed and Good Burger, like, like so. And then like after the 72 hours, they put you in a 30-day um like it's like
Like
a
an outpatient.
yeah, outpatient to learn how to cope, which I appreciate that. To be honest, a lot of people need to experience that because it was one of those like dig deep within a group and know that you're not alone. Like everybody
Yeah.
that I talked to, they all had to come through from the 72 hope. So there wasn't nobody coming from like regular mental health and coming in and
Hmm.
out. You all went through the 72-hour
Yeah, it was
program.
like
So
your people,
so
right?
it was
Like,
your people. So
yeah.
everybody, it was a weird way because this one guy he had made a joke. And it was funny but accurate and then sad at the same time. This
Yeah.
is one of the things I don't know if you ever experienced or trying to kill yourself. We call he said he's like, oh, this is the reject pile of suicide or not the final stage. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
like like I get it, but I get it. And then I'm sad because I didn't finish through. So I feel like a failure within
Yeah.
trying to fail myself because I felt like a failure. Like it was the most like complex theory because they would tell you like how like in the morning he was like, oh, like how's your day? How do you feel? You couldn't say anything, it had to be emotion. He was like, oh, it was an emotion for feeling weak. And they was like, why you chose weak? He's like, this is a rejects for not killing
Like
yourself.
following through. Yeah.
Yeah, not following through. And everybody was like a light bulb hit everybody's head. It
Yeah.
was like, wow, this is what it is because we didn't finish it through. Here we are. But at the same time, it's like sometimes failures, like that made me think sometimes failures are meant to be because something else
Yeah.
needs to be greater.
Yeah.
So from that point on and learning from that coping and learning like because for my issue was a lot of my issues came because of men or a situation and I didn't approach it correctly or I didn't adapt it right or I allowed to be be the push button for everybody else. I didn't speak up. So a lot of my
Yeah.
situation was because of it. So that year, this is now so 2014, 2015 was my storm. 2016 was my starting to be my rainbow. I learned how to speak up. I told people I wasn't taking their stuff no more. I put my father on child support because he was not being supportive. And when I asked, he was making me feel like I was asking for a hand up for a child that you helped create. I refused to talk to my ex-husband anymore. Every time me and his mom talked, we never spoke about him. I didn't allow other situations, marriages, like other people's relationship to default me. I focused. I started being career going back into the military again. I was aiming for my 20 years again. I wanted to read up. I wanted to read class. I took the classes. I even had a backup plan. I started following through for school. Um, when
You made yourself a priority.
I made myself a priority, and when one plan didn't work through, I had three other plans
Yeah.
because military taught me how to do that. Like when I try to re up and reclass, I had to go through another security clearance. I had to get ex-husband information. He refused. All right, he shut that door. But so then when I went to go try to re up, and I was all right, I'm ready to re up and get a new start somewhere else. They locked us in. They was like, you can't move. Like your MOS cannot move this location. And I was like, damn, another door closed. Lucky for me, I had a back door. I've always been taught to have a back door, right? So I was like, all right, I want to be an officer because I felt like as a single parent in the officer lane, they care more about you than being an enlisted. Like
Hmm.
they care about the families more on that side. Like I seen plenty of times when my chiefs or officer brought their kids in, nobody batted an eye. As soon as I had to bring my child in because she was throwing up too many times, they was like, "Why is she here? You can't have her in the motor pool, or I'm leaving her in the front. You can't leave her in the front in the office. You gotta go home." But my officer got his whole kid climbing up on the thing. But yeah, I gotta put my
Yeah.
child away. Okay,
Yeah.
like okay, got it. I'm gonna become an officer. The Green to Gold program in the army was a little bit harder, and I didn't have enough time to achieve it because like you gotta get a recommendation, and my contract was ending in July. I needed a whole year to process that thing, and I wasn't reading enough to stay there if I knew I was doing a program. So I had another back door. I was like, I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna get out, come home. I'll have family. I'll have people helping me. I'll have school. I'm getting paid to go to school. I'm doing the officer program. Come back. I'll have national. I decided to join National Guard, so my time can still go, so it get counted when I come back in. I'm like, oh, I'll have
Mhm.
6 years as a O1. Awesome. That's more. That's getting paid as almost like a first sergeant coming in. Oh, me and my child will be set. That was the goal.
Yeah.
And what my sister-in-law was like, oh, make sure you put your VA benefits before you leave out. I know you're planning on coming back in. but just in case it doesn't work out, put your VA benefits in. So I put my VA benefits packet in, and I didn't realize how much me going to see my therapist during that whole time at like during 2016, 15, 14, what had helped me out on this end. As much problems and pains I went through, like I had health issues too. I had knee issues, back issues, all of that stuff. But my mental health is where my actual big bulk of um my benefits come from. And it was funny because I always tell people, I was like, yeah, I was a little crazy, but I get paid for it now. Like I get paid for it now. My big
You're
bulk
banking
of
on it.
I'm banked on it so strong that it's now it's a P&T now.
Yeah.
So I with everything and when it came through, it was surprising because my brother always laughed. He's like, you did 3 years active duty and you came out with 90% because and I was like, yeah, and 70% of that came from my adjustment disorder. That came from my anxiety. That came from my insomnia. That came from my nightmare dysphoria. It came from my depression. And all that came from situation that happens in the military that I thought wouldn't have played because it's my personal life. Like I didn't realize when personal life and military that's considered entwined. When you're full active, that shit's all entwined. So
Yeah.
even though yes, that was my personal life, and it's funny because now I make sure I tell people like if you have personal shit going on, go get seen if you're on active duty because technically that's in the military.
Yeah.
They it's not them causing it, and it's weird because I'm like I know people who have PTSD from being over in combat and everything else, and here I am getting almost as more than them. Or to be honest, a major adjustment disorder is the same thing as PTSD. If it's
Hmm.
not a full 100% degree, you're the same percent of 70% at least, right?
Okay.
So it's like I'm getting the same thing from people who've been in combat, who've seen death. I'm only here because I couldn't grieve. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't grieve, I couldn't adjust, and which is in hindsight, it's the same thing over there. Like you had to grieve who you kill. You went through something like as killing as much as me seeing somebody die on my own end.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
even if it
No.
wasn't you killing, you saw somebody die in your own unit. It's the same thing, just
Yeah.
different avenues of how you got there. It's the same. And it's just crazy because it's like oh yeah, I get paid being crazy,
Yeah.
but like I also
No,
get
but
paid.
it's all relative, right? And so
Yeah,
the way whatever it is that they decide to name it for each of us, it's
yeah,
still based, right, on your mental health.
yeah,
I think the one thing that or there's two things that I take away from your story. And I think that I always like preach this to people, but people don't we have this stigma not only about mental health but the military and mental health, right?
yeah,
Like I love the way that you embraced that, like when you finished boot camp or AIT and they told you to go see a therapist, you went.
yeah,
And maybe it didn't work out for you because you guys weren't a right fit, but you went, right?
yeah,
And then later on, when other things like the couples therapy, you embraced it and you went,
yeah,
right? You didn't think like, oh, I'm gonna get kicked out. I'm gonna be labeled crazy and now I'm not gonna get promoted or I'm not gonna be seen as a good soldier. Like you
yeah,
embraced that mental health, like pathway.
yeah,
And I think that in the end, like it's so beautiful. Like you got to stay, you still got promoted, you still moved up, you still did all your things, you had your daughter, and you didn't get kicked out, you
no,
didn't get labeled, and so I think everyone in the military has that fear,
yeah,
and actually one of my best friends, he was in the army and he was struggling really bad with PTSD. And I was like, dude, just go,
yeah,
And he was like, no, I'm going to get kicked out. But I mean, meanwhile, he's deteriorating in his career and other bad things were happening because he wasn't addressing mental health. Right.
yeah,
And so I think like your story is beautiful. Like you can prove like you can go get seen, get
yeah,
help, and still fulfill your career in the military. Right. Like you're not going to be
yeah,
blackballed. And
no,
then I think and so I love that, and the 72-hour hold too, I think there's so much stigma on that too. People are like,
yeah,
"Oh, no, I can't get put on a 72-hour hold. I'm gonna lose my kids, I'm gonna lose my job," right?
hmm,
And for you, I think you mentioned, like, it was one of the best things that coulda happened, right?
yeah, it
It
was.
helped you, like, reset.
Yeah, I feel like the 70 hole, like I said, is a reset because I was burning out because one, I didn't have my medicine, so I was staying out. Like I was struggling mentally, and then I was like, the having that reset and able to like, all right, everything is shut down. You can't use your phone. You can't do social media. They didn't have TV. You watch, you listen to the radio. They play music. You coloring. You have therapy sessions. Like you're not alone in there. And then
Yeah.
after it was done, it was kind of like almost like you in the military. Every time you have something, you do an R&R after you're done,
Mhm.
right? You do the act or action review. Having that 30 days after to help you still adapt. Like, okay, we know you're not okay after 72 hours because that's not how it works. But let's give you another 30 days of actual support. And then you're still seeing your like because I still had a mental health doctor, I'm still going to see her while I'm
Yeah.
still seeing my 30 days. So and even the 30 days, they'd be like, all right, you have to see and schedule have a scheduled appointment with a mental health after. So it wasn't like they was leaving you hanging. And I felt like oh so many people need to have that. And I've seen a lot of military people that come out of boot camp. I feel like there should be a 48 hours after they're done boot camp before they leave somewhere else and just unpack everything what just happened
Yeah.
because it helps them. Or even before they leave from the military, you have to do a 48-hour unpack. And I know, and it's weird because I remember one time I saw this from my brother. Like he was still dealing with a lot of stuff himself, coming back from Afghanistan. And I don't know how their process is coming back from deployments and stuff, but it's like they need a hole. Like there should be a hole and sit and talk to them mental health and talk. And the ones that feel like they're not letting out, you can't be out until you can decompress. You got to learn how to
Yeah.
decompress. Because I don't know when you come to a new unit, I know for sure they always do a suicidal class.
Mhm.
Just like, oh, how do you handle somebody with suicide? How do you handle this? But then, like, okay, you learn these stuff, but what do we do when we leave out? Or do you have follow ups? Do we do this? Like, they're always talking about, oh, let's do better doing this, but there's no action
Yeah,
sometimes.
there's
There's a lot
definitely
of
no action. Yeah, there's no
no,
follow through. Like
no.
everything's a good idea. The military loves the idea of stuff,
Oh,
right?
they love it.
I know they're so innovative and we're so like, oh yeah, but then nothing happens,
Yeah,
and then we're left to crash and burn,
yeah,
and it's so many situations, like for you it was the adjustment, right?
yeah.
Which by the way, I think we all probably have a little bit of adjustment. I'm sorry, what
Disorder,
was the term again?
major adjustment disorder.
Adjustment disorder. I mean, come on, like
Yeah,
military is culture shock for us. You know what I
yes,
mean? Like,
100%.
so I think all of us probably have a little bit of that. Then we have, just combat PTSD.
Yep,
That's something else, and then we have sexual trauma. That's
yep.
something else. We
That's
got
another one.
domestic violence. That's
That's
something
another
else,
one.
and so and then we have to adjust on, getting out and to the
Yep.
civilian world. And then that's
That's
some other
adjustment.
kind of trauma too, right? And so,
Yes,
like, but there's nothing set in place to really guide us and help us so that we can just be functional,
yeah,
And
100%.
so, but I think that for you, you were very lucky. I think that I hope that people listening to this that are still in use this as an example to like if they need help, be less fearful of having to ask for it and see like the great outcome that you had. And
Yeah,
like you said, also in the end, that's something else I advocate too. I'm like, dude, just document, document, document.
document.
Like
100%.
you get out and you have all these people. Shit, me. It took me 10 years to get
Mm.
30%.
Oh my gosh.
10. I got denied and denied and I have all sorts of stuff going on
Yeah,
and I went through all sorts of crap. And and then I know there's other people I don't get anything because they didn't want to go complain they didn't want to complain and
you
be
want to complain.
weak,
Yeah,
because you're looked as weak. I'm gonna call out my husband. My husband's one of those,
yeah,
we can't we've tried and he never went to be seen for anything. So like that sucks for him, and it's like you earn it and they caused it, right? So it's
yeah,
not like you're lying or you're asking for something that you
no,
don't deserve, and I think that a lot of especially men, I think it's harder for them to
100%.
be documented, right? Like they don't want to
Yeah,
seem like the whiners or the complainers and stuff. So yeah, I think you're right. Like you're I don't want to say lucky because a lot of bad shit happened to you, but I think but I think that it was beneficial for you that you
yeah,
were so open to talk about it because in the end it helped you once you got out.
Yeah,
And
I would say my bad shit is like fertilizer for
yeah,
flowers. My tears that I cried those 3 years or so of basically my full active duty life was my water to grow my flowers. Like they always
yeah,
say, they always put the strongest shoulder have to have to battle a lot,
yeah,
or the going through the storm made me realize what I need to fight for. Like there
yeah,
was still stuff there that showed what I needed to fight for, you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
And I believe, my daughter wasn't planned properly because obviously nobody plans that. She was
yeah,
the reason why I'm still here. Like
yeah,
to this day, I am grateful for her. The situation is not blissful. I didn't mean to put her in that type of situation without like having a two-house family that everybody wished for, or at least her father nearby because he lives so far away. But like she's without because I have so many friends and family in this village, military and outside world, to help her out.
yeah,
Um, because I didn't fear going to get seen. I got seen for, if my shins hurt from running, I went to go see. If my
yeah,
knees was swollen, I went to go see. My back was hurting. I've told them plenty of times. So, and I think for me, because I had military family members already who said, go get seen when you need to go get seen, and
yeah,
because they was near the end of their contract themselves, they was already starting their process late in the game. So they was
yeah,
like, no, make sure you get stuff documented early. And I think because of that and having that mentality, and there'll be plenty of times with, like I did get a little bit on a low where I'm like, oh, you got another appointment, you got another appointment. I was like, yeah, like, what's wrong? I'm allowed to have an appointment. And if I don't go to this appointment, and guess what? The person I'm having my appointment outrank you, sir. So sorry. I'm going to obey my that commander or that or two-star general or that chief that's running that appointment to go get seen because I'm not feeling okay. And last time I checked, you need a well-dying, healthy soldier to complete your
mhm,
mission for anything we
yeah,
do. Even though
yeah.
you got me sitting here looking at oils that I did last week, but yet it's okay.
It's
You
true
want me
though.
you want me to look at it again. But yeah, it's true.
It's funny because we are just another body and another number, right? And when
Yeah.
like your body doesn't work, they're just like, bye. Cause that's what happened to me. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, you're too broken. So we gotta get rid of you. And I was like, oh, okay, like fix me first, at least,
That
No.
part.
And you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so it's funny, like for them, it's okay to discard you when you're no longer good for them. But if you're trying to like take care of yourself so you don't get discarded, that's a problem too. So it's like
It's
I'm
not a
trying to
win-win.
meet you yeah, I'm trying to
Yeah.
meet you there, sir. I'm trying to meet you where you need me so you don't get rid of me, but you're not letting me, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's just military. It's a love-hate relationship, like I
So
miss it
much.
and
I
I
miss
would,
it. It's
and
it's
I wouldn't give it up
crazy.
for the world. Like I do it all over again. The friends that I have, the
Yep.
experiences, the things I've been through have made me obviously who I am now.
Yeah.
But man, I have that love-hate relationship with them.
So
Like, I
much.
don't want to talk bad, but
I
there's
don't want
some
to talk
bad
back. Yeah.
stuff.
It's funny because it's like, all right, so it's funny. My niece right now, she's in JRTC. And so my best friend, which I call my sister, so that's her niece. Her brother was in the military right after high school. He went to Iraq and came back. And when I went in the military and came back, he didn't have a rating. So I helped him get a rating. He got to 90%. And he's
Okay.
not he still got a lot going on. He mentally got messed up and everything. So my sister said, of course, when I came back, I wasn't the same, and I agree. I was bubbly. I did pageants. So I was a whole different type of person, and before I came out, right? Which I agree, but I'm a little bit stronger, so I'm not mad. I'm My niece is in JRCC in high school, and I'm like, hey, if this is what you want to do because you want to go to West Point and play softball and everything else, like to be honest, like you go do it. Like I'm never against the military. Should I even tell my child like go in the
Me
military?
too. I
The
think everybody should
benefits
do 2 years
at
at
least
least.
2 years. You know what's crazy? And I take it because all right, there was a time when I was coming back out of when I was at Rutgers and during the whole I think was it Sanders? I feel like it's Sanders. The Who's the old guy? I can't think of him. He was trying to go on a Democratic side, and he was trying to go for like everybody get free healthcare, everybody get free college,
Bernie
everybody.
Sanders, yeah,
Bernie
that was
Sanders,
fun.
okay. And
Mhm.
I'm sitting here like, do you know there's a program that does that, guys? Like,
Yeah.
there's a program that does
Called the
that.
US
Literally,
military.
right? Like because think about it, like England, I don't know if that rule still applies for them, but like everybody has to go through the military.
Yeah, yeah,
If
yeah.
to be honest, if everybody goes to the military, like this country would be robbed because like all the
Oh,
benefits and money we give out, like I work at a VA side now, and I just see the benefits that we get, or the back pay that we give out, or the retro pay that we pay out. I'm like, we just we just got money everywhere, or even our military. Like I remember our equipments cost like $30 million, and I'm just like, well, it doesn't work, and we just let it sit here. It just sits
yeah,
here sometimes. Like it's money everywhere. But like if everybody went through this program, you have free colleges, you have free housing, you got free health insurance.
yeah.
You get
It's
even while you're
great.
in, you get free colleges. You get free house, somewhat free housing, or you get paid to go housing. Depends on how you work the system.
Yeah. And as the problem is that people want to get stuff without working for it. It's like,
That part.
you know,
Yeah.
but I feel like, you're right. I say it all the time. I think people should do at least 2 years.
Yeah.
It's good for everything, like
You
it
may come
teaches
out
you
a
to
little off and banged up a little bit, but like, would you been better at your other job too? You would have been spazzed out and all these high bills. Like,
exactly. You want to be miserable? I
let
mean, you can
be
be
miserable and
miserable
get
and get
paid.
paid.
Exactly, get miserable, get paid.
And have healthcare and food and a roof
Right?
over your head. I mean, listen,
Exactly.
I mean,
And
just
then we didn't say it was great.
I
It just it's
know.
better.
And we just said
One
it's
leg up.
better. Seriously.
Exactly.
No, I do too. Like I don't I encourage if anybody wants to join, I do my girls too. I'm
Yeah.
like, and so like I said, I mean, I love it. There's things I wish I could change and we're different. And
Yeah.
hopefully we can make change by talking about these things, right? That's my
Exactly.
goal.
That is definitely a
But
goal.
yeah, but definitely I love the military. I do it all over again. And I miss it. And just real quick to wrap it all up, I wanted to ask you,
Sure.
what if anything, do you want to share or advise people? Like what do you think it's like the biggest thing you learned out of your experience that you think will benefit the listeners?
The biggest thing I learned that I would definitely want anybody to learn from is knowing when it's okay to go get help, regardless of how much it may look on you. Like admitting that I try to kill myself with my own daughter, like in a safe space, of course, and of course I didn't go
Right.
through it, but like in a safe space where I know that what I'm telling my therapist is not gonna harm me, but like it helped me because it helped me understand where I was at, why I was going through that, and how to make sure to keep it from not coming again. Like,
Yeah.
things to look out for, how to make myself happy when I feel like I'm going down that rabbit hole again. And it's just powerful the fact that just reaching out for help professionally, and sometimes I say professionally because your friends and your family is always going to be biased because that's their ways of contact. Always get the
Mhm.
professional help because that's their job. They literally went to school for it. They
Yeah.
learn to separate the two and just focus on how to help the patient and yourself. And with that help, you're able to help yourself and help give people stories. Like we can tell you our stories and our trauma, but it's never going to help until you go ahead and get the help from a professional, get that advice, and watch yourself improve.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have said that better myself.
Right?
No, but honestly, no, I love that. And, I'm so grateful that you were willing to come and tell your story, because putting your business out there, like it's not easy. And then having to relive all those things. Cause I know for me, when I have to talk about stuff, like I'm
Hmm.
okay in the moment, but once after, you're a little triggered and emotional
Yeah.
and stuff. And so, that's like making a choice to put yourself through that in order to share, and so I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Um, but I do think, like I keep saying, I sound like a broken record, like the more that we talk about things,
Yeah.
the better they're gonna get and the more information there is out there for other people. And usually when we're going through traumatic experiences, we always feel like it's only us. We're
Yeah.
the only ones. No one will ever understand. And I think we all understand each other more than we think, right?
100%. Yeah.
And so I'm really appreciative for you and your voice and your courage to like tell your story to the world and let it be out there. And hopefully, a lot of us can take from that and improve and be a little less fearful about the stigma, you know?
Yes,
And
I
so
agree.
I'm very grateful for that and your time.
Thank
And
you.
so,
I appreciate that.
yeah, and then
I
we're
enjoy
gonna
your
have to,
time as well. It was grateful.
thank you. No, we're gonna have to get together and we got to talk about more stuff.
Yes.
I want to kind of do, gonna spoil it. I want to do like a big, you know, like with a bunch of us like female veterans, you know.
Yes.
And I think that would be a cool one and we could just bounce off, you know, talk about different topics. And I think it's important to like you know, I didn't go through what you went through and vice versa, but just being able to, you know, be as a community of veteran women to be able to support each other and talk about those topics in a group, I think
Yes.
would be great too. Um, just to open up the conversation too. And so it's not just like a monologue. Oh, I feel like when I talk, I feel like, oh, I feel like I keep saying the same thing, you know. And I think feedback is important, you know, because it just validates us a little bit more. So hopefully
Yeah, I
we can get
agree.
that going too, and we can do that together. But
Ooh,
yeah,
that'd be
so
great.
before yeah, yeah. So before we get off, can you let everyone know where they can find you if they'd like to reach out or see some of your content?
Yes. So right now I am on Instagram and I have my podcast page, which is called The Lioness Den, and that's DA Lioness Lioness Den Den, all one word. You'll find me there. I'm going to be just like her, trying to get my YouTube channels there. So once that's there, follow and you'll know when to have those going so you can watch as well. And hopefully we can share contact back and forth and you'll see us both on both pages. But yeah,
Yes,
you can find me on my
everybody.
Instagram. I'm
Yep.
also on TikTok as well, same handling the lioness then as well.
Okay, cool. So everybody, you heard that. Make sure you follow and subscribe and keep your eye out for some more work from us together, hopefully,
Yes.
and separate, right? Together and
Separate,
separate.
together and separate.
Yeah.
2024 togetherness. Yes.
Yes, for sure. But thank you again. I
You're
appreciate you
welcome.
more than you know. And I will talk to you soon. And thank you to everybody else. Thank you for everyone who's watching and listening, sharing and subscribing. And remember to drink your celery juice to get your daily workout. That's free therapy. And make moto moves and I will catch you guys next time. Bye, guys. Thank you.